Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Clue the motherfucking Don, Black Wall Music Podcast. My bad. I'm a little thrown off today. Um, I have a lot to talk about, but I'm not gonna make it long. Make that make sense. Um, as you can see in the title, I'm really here to really talk about like that mental health check-in. Um, I've always been an advocate for advocate of mental health. I've been, personally, um, ooh, my bad. I've been personally either going to counseling or speaking to therapists, receiving some type of mental health counseling at least for the last, I'll say 8 years. I'll say 8 years. Um, And I feel like there's so many people that's talking about it these days, and I feel like there's so many people just saying it's important, it's important, it's important, but we don't actually go into the details of what that shit looks like, what it looks like to be a man actually going through a mental breakdown or an anxiety attack, or whatever the fuck have you, because everything's sweet until your wife finds you standing in the bathroom, fucking having an anxiety attack, crying. And I think that we fail to acknowledge straight up what's happening before it gets to the point where we are literally about to break. Everybody's breaking point look different. Everybody's breaking point is very different. Now, I'm not talking about the motherfuckers that be going out there shooting up fucking schools and shit. I'm not talking about those breaking points. Those niggas been broke. I'm talking about breaking points in which that you, as a man, we either shut down or we turn the fuck, like, I ain't gonna say turn up, but we just literally go to a level that's like on some other shit. And that's usually when you have the guys that like don't ever be really doing too much, like they don't really have too much of a vice, but then they just go out and they have that binge where they just go and do some crazy shit. That wasn't for no reason. That wasn't because they just randomly had a fucking thought and it was like, yeah, let me just jump the fuck out there. You know what I'm saying? Let me just go do some random shit. No, they got beat down or they beat themselves down. Understand what I said? They got beat down or they beat themselves down to a point where they just mentally could not fucking take it and they needed a release. And unfortunately, by the time it gets to that point, those releases sometimes can be unhealthy. So acknowledging, and this is about yourself. I'm talking directly to the men right now. This is directly for yourself, because until you can acknowledge it in yourself, you can't tell anybody shit. We know how this life works. We know how this works for men. We at one point in time we're told that we need to be tough and we need to be hard, and at another point in time we're told that we're too tough and we're too hard and we need to be emotional. It's like, what the fuck do you want? Okay, but the honest truth is, until we can really be real with ourselves, we can't be real with nobody else. So they ain't got nothing to do with being emotional or being, too feminine or whatever the fuck it is. That just got something to be real. If you can't look yourself in the fucking mirror, then you can't look at nobody else, and especially you can't cast no judgment on nobody else. Everybody's life is a little different. Everybody's situation of stress, everybody's stress can relievers. Sorry, I keep like adjusting my shit. Everybody's stress is a little different. Everybody's situation is just all different, right? But there is no way in hell that we are not all going through some of the similar things, and also we can all jointly get through it in similar ways. Like I said, I'm not asking for a group kumbaya session. I'm not asking for motherfuckers to send in this. No, I'm not asking for none of that shit. I'm asking for you to go look in the mirror and talk to your goddamn self. Because until you can do that, you ain't gonna get through shit. Look through the mirror and talk to yourself and really tell yourself how you feel about you, how you feel about your situation, how you feel about your position, how you feel about your contributions, And usually, if you pretty much sum all those together, you should get a pretty full scope, you know, picture of who you are, or at least how you feel about yourself. Now, like I said, the difference between who you are and how you feel about yourself is that, you know, sometimes your mind can fuck with you, and sometimes your mind can literally make you seem lower or even higher than who you actually are. So who you are versus how you feel about yourself. That's when you need those trusting motherfuckers around you. Hopefully that's gonna tell you the truth. But you gotta start with yourself though. You gotta start with yourself, because if you have a delusion of yourself, then you're never going to allow somebody who has a real spectrum or a real view of yourself to tell you about yourself. You feel me? So, and we all know we have delusions. Like sometimes we be fucking lying to ourselves. Like y'all niggas gotta stop lying to yourselves. I lie to myself way too fucking much. I put myself in positions that I believe that is right at the time, especially with this business shit. And then in my mind, I'm always kind of second guessing it, or just the fact that that's just how my mind works. I'm always going to be constantly worried or constantly second guessing or thinking about the next step, to the point where I'm stressed and I don't really know. And I notice my stress level rising, but I'm just like, let me just put something else in front of it. Let me just put something else in front of it so I can just keep going, keep going, keep going. And like I said, everything's all good until a motherfucker find you standing in the bathroom just crying. You don't even know why. Like, there's no reason for that shit. Like, that mental health, those mental health check-ins are fucking important. Everybody out here is trying to make a buck. Everybody out here is trying to make an ends meet. Everybody out here is trying to stay healthy. By the way, this is kombucha. If you all haven't had kombucha, it's an amazing drink. It's a fermented, whatever the fuck, ferment, and it's great. But anyways, it's good for clearing out your shit. But everybody out here is trying to make some money. I get that shit. I get it. Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, I literally left my whole career to go out here and run my podcast and my apparel line full time. Talk about needing to make some motherfucking money. But, however, motherfucking also, I'm not going to put myself or continue to put myself in a compromising position mentally just to make sure that I can entertain y'all motherfuckers. I need to make sure that I'm still loving this shit every single time that I do it. So I'm not trying to jab at nobody. I'm not trying to make nobody take offense, but it is what it is. I need to be happy, and I need to find that happiness back into it. And it's not that I was losing it, but like I really was really starting to, to stress out about this shit. I didn't record at all last week. I think I might have did Monday. Last week was a blur. I ain't gonna lie to you. And I felt like I didn't record at all. And I literally looked at Shay and I was like, I didn't record at all. And she was like, it's okay. It's okay. Like you needed that time. She was like, you didn't have to make a declaration to say that you weren't gonna record. You just didn't. And I really did. You know what I'm saying? I had a lot of shit going on. I was trying to get orders ready. I was very nervous about releasing that shit. Sending out the shirts and everything, mainly the shirts. Just because like that's it means a lot to me. I put work into that. Like every single thing, like I did it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it was, but I was like, you know what? I got to get this shit out. Like people gonna be like, where the fuck's my shit eventually? But I mean, like I was losing. Like I lose sleep all the time. I've never been a super sleeper, anyways. But like I lose sleep about it, and some people will say, well, what you lose sleep about. If you don't lose sleep about it, ain't worth it. So for me, I'm legacy minded, and I'm also realistic. So I know that I do want to build this up to be something that is definitely, for one, sound, sound as far as foundationally sound, and then that is definitely profitable, something that I can leave my family if something were to happen to me. However, and also that doesn't mean that I want to work myself so much that I die at 60. I want to live and have a long life. I already don't got kids. So it's like I want to make sure that the people's life that I'm into, even the children's life that I am in, whatever position that I feel, I need to make sure that I am there for. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to just have something that I want to have what I made there, but I also want to be there. And maybe that might be selfish, but call it what the fuck you want. If that's the most selfish thing that I can say is that I want to build a legacy and also be there to see my people love it, then the fuck, you know what I'm saying? Shoot me. I feel like it's really simple. Y'all gotta really check in with yourselves. I'm not talking about checking with your bros. I'm not talking about checking with and like some people gonna shoot me for this, but it is what it is. I'm not talking about checking with your bros. I'm not about checking with your wives. I'm not about checking with your girlfriends, with your baby mamas, with your mamas, with your sisters, with your brothers. I'm talking about with your motherfucking self. Check in with you, because until you are real with yourself, it ain't gonna matter who you talk to. It does not matter who you talk to. Don't kid yourself. And before you even get to the point of trying to realize you need to talk to somebody, you really need to realize that all y'all motherfuckers got something that y'all need to talk about. It's just how we are. There was a miseducation for men. We need to be tough. We need to be prideful. We need to be straightforward. We need to provide. However, we need to be able to be open. That's where the miseducation comes in. We get taught all this stuff, but this other shit gets forgotten. Or it doesn't try to get sprinkled in until later on in life. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, he won't open up to me because he doesn't know how, baby. He don't know how. We weren't taught that. A lot of us weren't. And not just being taught, you don't just need to be taught that shit by women. You can be taught that shit by other men. Other men. Teach your sons that it is okay to talk to the right people. The right people. I'm just saying, your nephews, your cousins, all that shit. Like I said, I don't have children, but my stepchildren, I would say the same shit to them. My brothers, same thing. My younger brothers and my older brothers. Blood, not blood, all that shit. Like, if you ask anybody that really truly knows me, they'll be like, "Oh, Kahari don't talk much. Oh, he don't really talk much." But it's crazy because I talk to y'all motherfuckers all the time, because I'm, at least recording and, doing all this shit. But when it comes to the things that I'm like going through on a day to day, I'm not necessarily a person to call somebody every single day and tell them what's going on with me. I will say that I'm not that person. I'm not always the person to tell you about a major thing before it happens. I might tell you afterwards. But in my mind is I always know what I'm doing, and I always have thought about all those scenarios. I've thought about why I didn't tell you. I've thought about why I didn't tell the other person. I thought about why I told this person and not this person. I figured all that shit out. But the thing about me, I'm consistent. I've been this way my whole motherfucking life. I've been this way my whole life because at a very early age, I've come to understand that everybody is not the same. Everybody ain't the same. Everybody ain't gonna treat information the same, so you can't give everybody the same fucking information. Not saying that you give somebody else some shit and give somebody else something completely opposite, so it's a lie. No, that's not what I'm saying. But if I want to talk to you about some personal shit, but I want to keep everything business and kosher with you, I don't need you dipping into my personal shit, and I don't need you over here dipping into my business shit. You feel what I'm saying? Everybody has their own lanes, so don't let it get confused. I've had to realize that about me because I realized that a lot of people were just wanting me to be more open, and I realized I don't need to be more open. I'm giving y'all what y'all need. Y'all just gonna either realize to be okay with that shit or not. You know what I'm saying? Because I can talk about anything else and captivate a motherfucker, but sometimes I just don't want to talk about me, or sometimes I do. And when your man wants to talk, y'all need to make sure that y'all listen. This comes from, like I said, not just on the romantic sense, and when it comes to family shit, this is your brothers, your nephews, your sons, your uncles, your grandparents, your fathers. It's even more important coming from that older generation down, because that older generation really didn't understand how to open up at all. So when when the motherfuckers start to open up, like, you really need to listen, and also make sure that the younger generation of men is there as well to absorb that shit. Because even if it's a lot of pain that's being transpired, because there is a lot of pain that comes out when we talk, regardless of how we're trying to get it out, it's a lot of pain that comes when we talk. So they need to be there to be able to see that it's okay to release that pain. You can't block them, from everything. I'm not just saying this for women and men, or women and little boys. I'm saying this for, anybody. Like, you can't protect. Sometimes you have to let people be exposed to shit. Because if they're not exposed to a certain amount of shit, then they're just gonna go into the world completely blind. Um, like this. So I always try to ask myself, like, often, like, what's my reasoning for doing this shit? What's my reasoning for being here? And every once in a while, I get reminded on why, like, I'm doing it, or I get reminded that people are actually seeing what I'm doing, and it definitely helps out. It definitely helps out, and it's a daily reminder though. It's a daily reminder. It's a daily hustle. It's a daily grind. Sometimes it gets very discouraging. Sometimes I don't have the support that I need. Sometimes I have overwhelming support. But either way, I appreciate all the support that I have, and I'm gonna just keep going with it, because it's like, man, I tell you, like, last week was a very tough week up here. Like, it was very, very hard, for so many different reasons. For so many different reasons. But at the same time, I position myself to be able to get myself back to yes. Whether that be my actual physical position, whether that be my mental, my financial, my relationship, or people I have around me, I position myself to be able to get myself back to yes, and that's what I'm getting into. So ultimately, to wrap up everything that I was talking about today, I know I talked about a lot. I try not to be long-winded. I thought I was only going to record for like 10 minutes, but um, it just kept going. So just to wrap up everything, men, black men, white men, Asian men, Indian men, Pacific Islanders, Aborigines, everywhere. Check in with yourself. Check in with yourself. Make sure that you understand how you see you. And then once you understand how you see you, you can start to figure out the world. Until you can figure out yourself, you can't figure out shit else. And then women, ladies, excuse me, or any other gender out there, when a man speaks, when the masculine speaks, listen. Please find a way to listen. Please find a way to listen. As long as he is doing it in a respectful way, and sometimes he might even sound disrespectful, but understand that there's a lot of pain behind what he is saying. So just try to listen to him, because once you block him off, it might be really hard to get back to that point. So definitely listen to him. Anyways, Clue the motherfucking Don Blackwall Music Podcast. This was Make It Make Sense Mondays, mental health check-in for the fellas. I will be doing something this week where I will be talking with the ladies. But I'm actually probably not going to be talking too much. I'm actually going to have somebody on the show that's going to be talking to the ladies, because that's the best way to do it. All streaming platforms, all social media platforms, Blackwall Music Podcast, Clue the motherfucking